Do you ever forget God when life is good and then act surprised when the ground beneath you starts to shake? Just remember that a people who do not remember what God has done for them will become an unstable people. And in Deuteronomy chapter 32, we're going to unpack the song of Moses, God's faithfulness and Israel's forgetting, and the strange mercy of judgment. And I'll give you one immediate action to keep gratitude alive before pride hardens your heart in this episode of Biblical Unlocked. This show is designed to help build your habit of reading the Bible, understanding the Bible, and applying it in your daily life. If you enjoy episodes like this, please consider following and rating the show. It's free, it helps me out a lot, and you can always change your mind later. Now let's get a little bit of context into the chapter. So Deuteronomy chapter 32 picks up right where Deuteronomy 31 left off. It's Moses' song, which is a poetic witness that rehearses God's faithfulness, Israel's corruption, the tragedy of forgetting the rock who formed them, and the justice and mercy of God in judging and restoring his people. This is not just some farewell lyric. It is a covenant witness meant to stay in Israel's mouth and memory. And the chapter also ends with God commanding Moses to ascend to Mount Nebo and die, bringing the wilderness generation story to a close. And we're going to pick up with Joshua in the next book of the Bible. Okay, so let's read verses 1 to 4 now. This is going to be the first biblical unlock. We're just going to have a look at the introduction here, heaven and earth as witnesses. And my engagement question for you to stay focused is, why does Moses call creation itself to witness his song? Verse 1, "Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak. Let the earth hear the words of my mouth. May my teaching drop like the rain, my speech condense like the dew, like gentle rain on grass, like showers on new growth. For I will proclaim the name of the Lord. Ascribe greatness to our God, the rock. His work is perfect, and all his ways are just, a faithful God without deceit. Just and upright is he." Alright, biblical unlock number 1. Why does Moses summon heaven and earth to listen? Because the song is a covenant, lawsuit, and a public testimony. Moses is not singing for entertainment. He is recording truth in a form that creation itself is asked to hear. And the image reminds us and reminds Israel that covenant faithfulness is not private. It has cosmic, eternal significance. And creation is a witness, or acts as a witness to God's order. Truth is public, not hidden. Okay, let's read verses 5 to 14 now. This is going to be on God's faithfulness, the rock who formed Israel. And my question for you to stay focused is, how does the image of God as rock reshape trust? Verse 5, "Yet his degenerate children have dealt falsely with him, a perverse and crooked generation. Do you thus repay the Lord, O foolish and senseless people? Is not he your father who created you, who made you and established you? Remember the days of old. Consider the years long past. Ask your father, and he will inform you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High apportioned the nations, when he divided humankind, he fixed the boundaries of the people according to the number of the gods. The Lord's own portion was his people, Jacob his allotted share. He sustained him in a desert land, in a howling wilderness waste. He shielded him, cared for him, guarded him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirs up its nest and hovers over its young, as it spreads its wings, takes them up, and bears them aloft on its pinions, the Lord alone guided him. No foreign god was with him. He set him atop the heights of the land, and fed him with the produce of the field. He nursed him with honey from the crags, with oil from the flinty rock, curds from the herd, and milk from the flock, with fat of lambs and rams, Bashan bulls and goats, together with the choicest wheat. You drank fine wine from the blood of grapes. Biblical unlock number 2. Why do we call God the rock? Because rocks are steady, they are weighty, and they are dependable. Moses contrasts God's solidity with Israel's instability, and this song rehearses how God found Israel, protected them, nourished them like an eagle with its young. The point is not just that God is powerful, but that his power is faithful and parental. Okay, let's read verses 15 to 18 now. This is going to be Israel's forgetting and their idolatry, right? And my question for you to stay focused is, why do people turn from the God who fed them. Verse 15, Jacob ate his fill. Jeshurun grew fat and kicked. You grew fat, bloated, and gorged. He abandoned God who made him and scoffed at the rock of his salvation. They made him jealous with strange gods, with abhorrent things they provoked him. They sacrificed to demons, not God, to deities they had never known, to new ones recently arrived, whom your ancestors had not feared. You were unmindful of the rock that bore you. You forgot the God who gave you birth. Alright, biblical unlock number 3 now. So, how can a people forget so quickly, right? Prosperity makes memory weak. When you're prosperous, that's precisely when you'll forget God. Israel becomes Jeshurun, a beloved name, yet grows fat and kicks against the one who made them. And the tragedy here is not that people it's not in ignorance, right? It's not that they don't know, it's that they're ungrateful. When blessings increase, dependence on God quietly disappears, and idols offer a counterfeit sense of control. So, in this sense, we need to be very careful about our desires, because when it becomes distorted, it turns from God to ourselves. And this is precisely when we're most likely to forget God, when we're constantly focusing and admiring ourselves. Okay, let's read verses 19 to 35 now. The focus here is going to be God's judgment and the danger of vengeance. And how do justice and mercy stay together when Israel rebel? Verse 19, the Lord saw it and was jealous. He spurned his sons and daughters. He said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end will be, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom there is no faithfulness. They made me jealous with what is no God, provoked me with their idols. So I will make them jealous with what is no people, provoke them with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled by my anger, and burns to the depths of Sheol. It devours the earth and its increase, and sets on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap disasters upon them, spend my arrows against them, wasting hunger, burning consumption, bitter pestilence. The teeth of beasts I will send against them, with venom of things crawling in the dust. In the street the sword will bereave, and in the chambers terror, for young man and woman alike, nursing child and old grey head. I said, I will make an end of them, and blot out the memory of them from humankind. But I feared provocation by the enemy, for their adversaries might misunderstand and say, our hand is triumphant. It was not the Lord who did all of this. They are a nation void of sense. There is no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this. They would discern what their end would be. How could one have rooted 1,000 and two put a myriad to flight, unless their rock had sold them, the Lord had given them up? Indeed, their rock is not like our rock. Our enemies are fools. Their vine comes from the vinestock of Sodom, from the vineyards of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of poison. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of serpents, the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me, sealed up in my treasuries? For the day of vengeance and recompense, for the time when their foot shall slip. Because the day of their calamity is at hand, their doom comes swiftly. Okay, so is God's anger justified here, or is it just rage? Well, the answer to that is no, obviously not. It is holy justice against covenant betrayal. The song here refuses private vengeance, but justice and judgment belongs to the Lord, because humans cannot punish without corruption. And the chapter insists that sin truly wounds, but the final accounting is God's, not ours. There's a difference between righteous judgment and sinful revenge, and God's justice is clean, even when ours isn't. Okay, now let's read verses 36 to 43. There's going to be vindication, compassion, and final reckoning. And why does God judge and pity his people, both at the same time? Verse 36, indeed the Lord will vindicate his people, have compassion on his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, neither bond nor free remaining. Then he will say, where are their gods, the rock in which they took refuge, who ate the fat of their sacrifices, and drank the wine of their libations? Let them rise up and help you. Let them be your protection. See now that I, even I, am he. There is no God besides me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. And no one can deliver me from my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and swear, as I live forever, when whet my flashing sword, and my hand takes hold on judgment, I will take vengeance on my adversaries, and will repay those who hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, with the blood of the slain and the captives from the long-haired enemy. Praise, O heavens, his people, worship him, all you gods, for he will avenge the blood of his children, and take vengeance on his adversaries. He will repay those who hate him, and cleanse the land for his people. Okay, biblical unlock number 5. So, why does the song suddenly turn towards mercy at the end? Because God's justice is never divorced from his covenant compassion. He sees the people's helplessness, and he restrains complete destruction. He promises vindication, and the song ends with the startling truth: the same God who judges idolatry also avenges the oppressed and restores his people. Okay, let's read verses 44 to 47 now. This is going to be Moses urging the people to take the words seriously, and why this song must be obeyed and not just admired. Verse 44. Moses came and recited all the words of this song in the hearing of the people, he and Joshua son of Nun. When Moses had finished reciting all these words to all Israel, he said to them, "Take to heart all the words that I am giving in witness against you today. Give them as a command to your children, so that they may diligently observe all the words of this law. This is no trifling matter for you, but rather your very life. Through it you may live long in the land that you are crossing over the Jordan to possess." Okay, verse 44 to 47. Why does Moses tell them this song is not just empty words? Obviously because words shape life. This song is not just poetry to admire or literature to reflect upon. It is an instruction to obey. Moses tells them to set their hearts on it because their future depends on whether they remember what kind of God they belong to. Okay, this is the last part of the section of the chapter now. This is Moses' death foretold, verses 48 to 52. And this is going to be Moses' death on Nebo. And my question for you is, why does the chapter end with Moses seeing the land but not entering it? Verse 48. On that very day the Lord addressed Moses as follows: "Ascend this mountain of the Abarim, Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, across from Jericho, and view the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites for a possession. You shall die there, on the mountain that you ascend, and shall be gathered to your kin, as your brother Aaron died on Mount Hor, and was gathered to his kin, because both of you broke faith with me among the Israelites at the waters of Meribah, Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, by failing to maintain my holiness among the Israelites. Although you may view the land from a distance, you shall not enter it, the land that I am giving to the Israelites." So why do we end with Moses seeing the land but not entering it? Because Moses is faithful, he is not ultimate. He leads the people to the edge and then bows out. His death teaches that God's promise is bigger than one leader, and that even great servants are not the destination. The land matters, but the Lord matters more. Right? The unfinished journey in this sense is God himself showing that he is the true end, that leaders should point onward, not inward. Let's see how this chapter fulfills Jesus Christ. Okay, so Deuteronomy chapter 32 gives the church a song of warning and hope. God is faithful, human hearts wander, judgment is real, and mercy is still God's desire. In Christ, the rock becomes flesh. Jesus is the faithful Son who never forgets the Father, the true Israel who does not kick against his Maker, and the one who bears judgment so that the faithless can be restored to the faithful. The song's tension here between justice and mercy finds its deepest answer at the cross of Jesus Christ. As we read in Romans chapter 12, verse 19, "Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave room for the wrath of God, for it is written, 'Vengeance is mine, I will repay,' says the Lord." The idea being, you need to refuse the poison of revenge and trust God with justice. And what immediate action can we apply? Well, I think we need to remember that we should stay away from faithlessness and align ourselves with God's faithfulness. So we need to make sure that we are praising God, giving time for prayer, and gratitude, so that humility and gratitude can stay together. So I think something to remember is to stop forgetting stuff. Now, what does that mean? If you have blessings that you take for granted, it's important to attach a daily reminder to it, a note, a prayer, a shared testimony, to keep pointing back to God. Because we saw in this song that when people forget who gave them everything, that is when their pride takes over, and that's when they forget God. So how can we avoid that? By constantly bringing back to God, or constantly reminding ourselves that God is the ultimate ruler and sustainer of us, and that everything we had is a glorious gift from the Almighty. Alright, so that's it for this episode of Biblical Unlocks. We learned that Moses' song is a covenant witness meant to preserve memory across generation. God is the rock, stable, faithful, protective, and nurturing. Israel's deepest sin is not ignorance, but ingratitude and forgetting, and that judgment belongs to the Lord, not to human revenge. Moses' death on Nebo, right at the end, shows that even the greatest leader points beyond himself. Next time we're going to move from Moses' song to Moses' blessing in Deuteronomy chapter 33. We're going to unpack tribal blessings, the uniqueness of God's people, and how a final word can still shape the future. You don't want to miss it. That's it for this episode of Biblical Unlocks. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to rate the show and follow. It's free, it helps me out a lot, and you can always change your mind later. Otherwise, just have a blessed day. And remember, if you're not in your word, you're in your feelings. Godspeed. And since this is coming out on Easter, happy Easter. Have a blessed day. And remember that He is risen. He has risen indeed.